Hey folks, here's a lesson on how to play an Appalachian old-time tune called Candy Girl. Alrighty, so now that you've heard it, let's learn how to do it. Okay, so this lesson is taught with a fiddle that's tuned to sawmill tuning, which G string is tuned up to A, G string, and D string is tuned up to E, so we have A, E. If you haven't learned that tuning or don't want to do it, that's okay, no worries. You can do this song, this version of Candy Girl without it. But if you are in the sawmill tuning, there'll be some cool, easy double stop droning things you can do, which I'll show you at the end or at some point. So as usual, I like to suggest that you warm up with the scale. So in this case, A major scale. In the low octave, if you're playing in standard, you can do it in standard tuning or sawmill tuning. It'll be easy, same fingering. Then the other thing I'll suggest you warm up with is the pulse bowing, if you know it, with double stops. All right, so do a little bit of that, and then we're ready to start the tune. So I'll start by just playing the entire first quarter for you. Here it is with flow. Now broken down a little bit more. So we're starting at A2, 4 quarter notes there. And I use the pulse bowing. If you don't know that, then you can just do separate bows. You know, so a beginner could start with just separate bows like that. If you're really a beginner. All right, then the next bar is a 1, 2 to open E. Again. So here's the whole first quarter again. All right, and then if you know the pulse bowing with double stops, you could do this. All right, you may want to just practice that a little bit. Loop it. Then try it in the whole first quarter. All right, then you could loop that for a while. So in this tune, this is the first quarter of the A part. It gets repeated as the third quarter. In fact, the first is the same as the third, the second is the same as the fourth. So if we learn the first and second quarter, we know the entire A part. So it's worth your while to take a moment now, pause the video, and really practice that first quarter. So I really think it's a good idea for you to learn the first thing, whatever that is, in a tune really well, because it's often repeated, but it also gives you confidence moving forward. You're like, oh, I can do this kind of feeling. And I may not get the whole thing today, but I can do it. So I think that's always a good thing. Even if it's the first note, you make one note at the beginning sound amazing, that first note. Then maybe get the bowing. Okay, so that's just the practice tip. Now let's move forward. I'm gonna play the whole second quarter for you. Now broken down. So A2, open E, again. And then E1 to A2, open E. All right, so we have slurring up to the very last three notes I slur together in an up bow. So we have, oh, I did it wrong. By the way, there's lots of different ways to bow it. This is just a suggestion for you. And ideally, as a fiddler, you learn to experiment with bowings, things that feel right for you. My general approach to teaching bowing is to show it to you on things like scales, like so we can do the pulse on a scale. And then you kind of just really learn to master it in that simple format of a scale, and then you can start to experiment with different ways to do it on tunes. So all that said, I recommend trying to do it the way I suggest, taking it with a grain of salt that it's a suggestion, and then as you get more comfortable with the tune and the techniques, you can experiment more on your own. Okay, so the last thing I'll do with this second quarter is to add a double stop right there. You could actually add a double stop in the very last note. Then you could slowly loop it. Looping is one of the most powerful things I teach. I gotta mention it in every video because I hope that whoever stumbles on this video learns how to loop as practice, because it's very fun and very effective way to learn. Okay, so let's just, now that we got the entire A part, because remember the first quarter is the same as the third, second is the same as the fourth, let's try the whole thing with this play along track. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, so let's just take a moment to pause and think about how we practice. One thing I learned from just randomly reading a banjo book, How to Play Banjo book by Earl Scruggs, was he does some exercise and then he says, repeat 1,000 times. He shows you an exercise, then says repeat 1,000 times. It sounds like a joke, but it really works. You may not repeat it 1,000 times that day, 1,000 times in a row, but maybe you do little sessions within your practice, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. Then over time, maybe in a week or two, you've done it 1,000 times. Amazing thing to try to do. Repeat 1,000 times, 1,000 times. No joke, practice it 1,000 times. All right, so let's move on. Let's do the B part. Let's learn the first quarter. I'll first play it for you with a little bit of flow and then break it down. Broken down. Okay, and with a little bit more flow again. So we're starting with E3 to open A and then back to E3. I'm slurring open A and an up bow to E3. Just do that a few times. Then the next bar is on A string, open 1, 2, open 1, 2, and do slur 2, down, slur 3. Here's that again. Again, if you master these two bars, the rest of the B part is so repetitive that it'll be easy. So this is another moment in which you will want to really practice this a bit. Here's the whole thing again. If you feel comfortable with double stops, you can drone, when you play E3, you can drone open A. All right, and if you're close to being comfortable and you want to practice it, just play that double stop 1,000 times, or whatever until it feels good. Do little bows, then lengthen them. Throwaway bows. All right, all that will help to get the sound for this and anything else. Okay, so now let's do the second quarter of the B part. It's very similar, it just ends on a different note. It just ends on open A instead. So now you have the entire B part. So I'm just gonna play the entire B part slowly. Feel free to play along or just listen, because listening is practice too. So here we go. And that's the whole tune. Finally, I'll just suggest that if you are in sawmill tuning, cross tuning, you can easily do it in the lower octave, same exact fingering. That's sort of the beauty of cross tuning. So we could do. So on, all right? So I actually wrote out the sheet music for that and for the upper octave on the FiddleHed page with lots of different play-along tracks to help you get this and some extra notes. So that is free to anyone for 1 week, and then you need to be a paid user after that to access it. And that's generally how most of the lessons go. So anyway, let me know if you have questions. Write a comment here, or the fastest way is on the FiddleHed site. And I don't know, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the video. Thanks for subscribing and everything else, just for making music. It's good, isn't it good to make music? And by you making music, more music is in the world, so thanks. Okay, see you soon. Go to FiddleHed.com for a progressive, step-by-step course outline, color-coded tabs, play-along tracks, sheet music, and much more. Thanks for watching the video. Excellent! And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.